Greetings, Writing 393 students, and thank you for having me in your classroom, your EWC advisor, Kevin, to help you with writing assignment number 3, the synthesis essay, sometimes called a literature review. Now, your instructor has done a really great job of breaking down your assignment requirements and providing some really awesome examples and some great resources to help you with this paper. But a literature review might seem a little overwhelming because it is a very sometimes vaguely defined assignment in that it can be about almost any topic. And the topic that you've chosen for this paper is going to inform how you organize that paper. So when thinking about how you outline and plan this paper, you might feel overwhelmed because there are a lot of different strategies to consider, and you're going to want to think of what is the best strategy for my specific topic. So what I've done for you in this video is break down your assignment instructions into sections, and I'm going to walk you through a video overview of your assignment details, and we're going to take a close look at some of the examples of how you can make an outline for this paper and start building the plan for how you're going to be discussing your unique discussion of your topic. So let's get started. First, let's just go through the assignment overview. Writing assignment 3 will be a synthesis essay, a format that is sometimes referred to as a literature review. Please click here for a video that briefly describes and outlines writing this assignment. Definitely check out these videos after you watch this overview video if you have not watched these videos already, because they do a great job of further defining a literature review, which we're also going to do in other sections of our workshop in class. Organization. Your synthesis essay should be organized in the following manner. Introduction. Write 1 or 2 paragraphs in which you introduce the reader to your topic. Body, the categories into which you are dividing the literature. Divide your sources into a few categories. A suggestion is that you divide them into 3 to 5 categories. Conclusion. Summarize what the literature says on your topic. Approach. This semester you have constructed a table of research findings of 4 articles that discussed research studies. You have also critically evaluated several articles in the annotated bibliography. In this assignment, you will synthesize the ideas of several authors in a synthesis essay or literature review. For your annotated bibliography, you selected a topic based on your interests and possibly your major. You constructed a list of 12 references and summarized and critically analyzed them in 150 to 200 words each. Through this process, you may have seen patterns in the scholarly literature in the topic on which you conducted research. For example, consider the following examples. You may have researched studies in criminal justice and found that there are varying opinions on how to respond to criminal behavior among youth. You may have researched studies in psychology and found that counseling strategies for victims of domestic abuse tend to fall into 4 categories. You may have researched graphic communications and discovered that the integration of graphics in business report writing has evolved from the 1970s to the present because of advancements in technology. You may have researched articles on gerontology and found studies that answered 3 basic questions on how older adults respond to training for physical performance. In the synthesis essay, you will focus your research efforts in a particular area, perhaps as a response to what you found while writing the annotated bibliography. You will then conduct more research and synthesize your findings in this essay. Please note that the annotated bibliography was the beginning, not the end of your research. You might decide to disregard several of the articles you analyzed in the critical annotated bibliography because they don't speak to the specific area on which you have decided to write your synthesis essay. You might select one article that you analyzed in the critical annotated bibliography, look up the articles in that article, and snowball your research that way. In other words, this process is a recursive one. You might find reasons to hone in on and narrow your topic even further after you have written the annotated bibliography. How to organize the synthesis essay. Now, this is the section of your assignment requirements where your instructor has given you some really awesome jumping off points for how you might want to start structuring your outline and building a plan for your unique topic. When you have focused on your topic, determine how you will divide the literature. In other words, consider the following examples that we described above. Remember those examples above. This is a unique way to respond to each of those examples that your instructor is pointing out here. I also like to mention that a lot of times when students write a literature review, they think that it is almost a source-by-source response, and as these examples are going to show, it's really more of a topic by topic or subtopic by subtopic response, or sometimes a chronological response, or sometimes another way of organizing the paper that isn't just breaking down your literature source by source, but it's rather integrating the literature using multiple sources per section or paragraph to talk about different aspects of your topic. So keeping that in mind, let's check out these examples. You may have researched studies in criminal justice that found there are varying opinions on how to respond to criminal behavior among youth. So therefore, you might divide your paper as follows. You've got an introduction, and then the body of your paper could be Category 1, A view on responding to criminal behavior, Category 2, B view on responding to criminal behavior, Category 3, C view on responding to criminal behavior, and Category 4, D view. Then your conclusion. So imagine that each of those sections in the body is a unique way of responding to criminal behavior among youths. And within each section, there will be multiple paragraphs that are all integrating different sources that talk about that specific view that you uncovered from your research. Another example. You may have researched studies in psychology and found that counseling strategies for victims of domestic abuse tend to fall into 4 categories. So therefore, you might divide the paper as follows. Your introduction, and then the body would be Category 1, Counseling Strategy A for victims of child abuse. Category 2, Strategy B. Category 3, Strategy C. Category 4, Strategy D. So essentially, each of those 4 categories you uncovered is going to define the 4 major sections of your paper. And again, within each of those major sections, you're going to have multiple paragraphs, and you'll be integrating more than one source in order to discuss those different categories of counseling strategies. The next example, you may have researched graphic communications and discovered that the integration of graphics in business report writing has evolved from the 1970s to the present because of advancements in technology. Therefore, you might divide the paper chronologically. In that case, again, you'd have your introduction and conclusion, of course, but the body of the paper would take it by decade. It would go, here's what graphics in business report writing was like in the 1970s. Here's what it was like in the 80s. And then in the 90s, and in the 2000s to the present. So again, it's not that you're arranging your paper by source, by one article and the next article and the next article. It's here's what I learned about the whole body of knowledge on this topic. And in this case, we're going to discuss it chronologically and show and trace the evolution of business report writing using the various sources wherever they fit best in that discussion. Next example. You may have researched articles on gerontology and found studies that answered 3 basic questions on how older adults respond to training for physical performance. You might divide the paper as follows. Your introduction, your conclusion, and in the middle, the body would explore question 1 in one major section, explore question 2 in the next, and question 3 in the third major section. And again, you could have subsections that speak to different aspects of the 3 major questions that you uncovered through your research. And your goal is to show how the research engages these questions, what they have answered about these questions, and maybe what they haven't answered about these questions too, because in a literature review, you're also thinking about the gaps in the research as well. Now, in order for you to see this concept with a real-life example, you can access a sample, synthesis, or literature review from a psychology student by clicking here. Your instructor did a great job of finding an awesome example that you should review in full, but we're just going to kind of look at some highlights of it. The student writes her paper on the following topic: emotional eating, the perpetual cycle of mood food influence. Sounds like a really interesting topic, and I'll bet there are a lot of ways you could organize that topic in a literature review. And she divides her literature into the following categories: influence of mood on eating behavior, gender differences, influence of eating behavior on later moods, and chronic stress response network. Notice how she synthesizes and integrates the research into the different categories. Let's take a quick look at that. Here's her introduction. Here's section 1, influence of mood on eating behavior. And you're going to notice a lot of different authors and different sources that she integrated into each section. Sometimes she's talking more about one source, and sometimes she's talking more about several sources. Gender differences, there's the next section. Notice also that there's multiple paragraphs per section because there's different subtopics that she included in each section. And you also will see in this example that there's a lot of commentary that is going to help you understand a literature review. So that's why it's important to take a closer look at this on your own and read all that commentary. Section 3, influence of eating behavior on later moods. Again, research integrated into one broader category. And finally, chronic stress response network. And after those 3 major sections, she has a thoughtful conclusion on the research at large, followed by a references page in APA style, which is what you're going to want to have as well. Finally, let's just do a brief rundown here of the approach and requirements that your instructor provided at the end of the assignment details, which just sort of give us some of the salient information about what exactly your report needs to contain. Your synthesis essay or literature review should be 2,000 to 2,500 words, not including your references page at the end of the review. In other words, the text of the paper should be 2,000 to 2,500 words. In addition, your synthesis essay should include at least 10 scholarly sources in the references section. As stated above, this means that you may decide not to use all 12 sources that you summarized in your annotated bibliography. You are free to use all 12 of them. However, it is possible that in your experience in writing summaries of the 12 sources, you were led to conclude that a few of them will not be as helpful to your topic as you had originally thought. You may decide not to include such sources in the synthesis essay. This is totally up to you. Moreover, you might find other sources that you would like to include in your synthesis essay that were not included in your annotated bibliography. You may use such sources in your synthesis essay as well. And we also have some helpful tutorials and guides that your instructor linked you to down here. These first 2 right here are also EWC resources, and we will probably have some materials in our workshop that are similar, but I do encourage you to bookmark those links because then you'll have them to refer to at any point, even if this workshop concludes. And here are some other resources that your instructor provided you with. So, in response to this thread, what we want to do is have you guys write an outline, a starter outline for your synthesis essay that is responsive to your own unique topic in your own unique way. And I would encourage you to take a close look at the examples that are in the assignment details about the various ways that you might organize a topic. So you might organize it by important questions, by important categories related to your topic, by important key issues or concerns or problems or solutions depending on what you're writing about, or you might be organizing your topic chronologically to trace the development of a topic. It's up to you, and I would empower you to think about what is the best way to discuss your topic. So I look forward to reviewing your outlines, and just respond in the designated discussion area of this EWC conference or ask any questions that you have, and I will respond within 24 hours or less. All right, good luck, and I look forward to working with each of you.